Hi, friends, I'm Katie.
And I'm Lauren, and welcome to Okay, but Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today, we're recapping and chatting about Season 2, Episode 9, Beefsquatch. Beefsquatch is Bob auditions for a morning show's kitchen segment. Gene bombs his taping and ends up joining Bob on set as Beefsquatch. The two start a father-son rivalry with Louise's help, and chaos ensues. Can the family survive their feud? It's a Gene episode.
It is a Gene episode.
I was concerned.
What's funny is I wrote, honestly, Gene has grown on me.
It's happened!
Like, even with this one being Gene heavy, I'm like, amongst the characters that I dislike, I like him more than the other ones.
I love hearing that. Yay!
Yeah. I still can't stand Teddy.
Heart.
It did.
That's okay.
I still can't stand Teddy. I still can't stand Annie and Ollie. But Gene, I think it's exposure therapy. I think there's more of him, therefore it just takes some time.
Exposure therapy. He's a child. All right.
He's a cartoon.
All right, we always start with puns, and I'm very excited to hear what you caught because there were so many.
There were a lot of burgers. There were a lot of burgers in this one.
There's a lot of burgers.
I got wire hangers.
So the vegan storefront, it's a play on the famous line, "No wire hangers," uttered by Faye Dunaway from the campy 1981 movie Mommy Dearest.
Oh, okay.
The secondary sign is literally an actual wire hanger shaped sign that says "open."
Oh, I see that.
Oh yeah, because I have provided pictures this time for you, so you can see it.
Yes, you have, which also it proves that I just completely missed the pest control truck because I wrote in my notes, "Oh, there wasn't a pest control truck this time." I was incorrect.
I have proof. So that one was "How the Pest Was Won."
Mm-hmm.
It is a play on "How the West Was Won," a title used for a 1962 Western film, a mid-1970s TV series loosely based on the film, and a triple live album by Led Zeppelin. It's very involved.
Okay.
And it includes a sheriff's star with a dead rat's face. So there are technically only 3 burgers of the day.
Uh-huh.
I have a separate list for the Get On Up TV show.
I think I got all of them, though. I think.
Well, let's start with the burgers of the day in the restaurant.
Okay. So poutine on the Ritz burger comes with poutine fries.
We all know that's a reference to the musical Puttin' on the Ritz.
Yes.
And the song of the same name.
Okay, so I don't separate out which ones were the burgers of the day and which ones weren't. I just have them all as
There's only 2 more burgers of the day.
I think so. The don't get creme fraiche with me burger. That one was a burger of the day, I think.
Yes.
Which that one is clever.
A play on saying, "Don't get fresh on me."
That one is clever. I did have to pause and read it because it was cut off.
The last burger of the day was mescaline around burger, and it has Wiki did not help me on knowing what it was. There was no description. I have no idea.
Isn't mescaline? Mescaline is like a leaf mix.
Is it? I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, I think mescaline. It's like a bitter greens kind of mix where it's like I don't know. It's like the purple kind of leafy things with also darker green.
Oh,
I think
that makes more sense. I'm going to assume it's because it says mescaline, so I'm assuming it's around messing around burger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, that's okay. See, I learned something too.
There you go. It's probably a burger with mescaline on it.
There are 5 TV show Get On Up burgers.
Okay, I think I got these. I think we'll find out. So there's the Unintended Consequences burger, which is a play on unintended consequences, which was hard. I had to rewind that one because I was like, did I catch this correctly?
And this is the one he made for his audition tape.
Yes. There's the Bruschetta Batted burger.
Pan on forget about it.
Yeah, which I guess plays into the New Jersey aspect of it.
I love it.
There's the Mediterranean Misbehavin' burger, which again I had to rewind because I was like, did I hear that correctly? I wasn't sure.
So that one is a play on the Ain't Misbehavin', a 1929 Fats Waller song.
Mm. Okay.
Yep.
That is a reference.
I just love that so many of them have a reference. Like,
Yeah.
it's not just a pun. It actually has, like, a history. It's so fun.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I got the I'm Gonna Get You Succotash burger.
That one is a reference to the film I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka, a 1988 blaxploitation parody.
Okay, then.
I don't know what blaxploitation means, and I'm going to look that up later.
Okay. And I think the last one was Every Breath You Tikka Masala burger.
A play on the Police song Every Breath You Take. Okay, so did you know that Get On Up is a parody of The Today Show?
I never would have guessed that.
Never would have guessed that one. Okay.
Nah.
And obviously Beefsquatch is a parody of Sasquatch, a cryptid, Bigfoot, you know, which I did write down every time there was like a fun little name that was said pertaining to Beefsquatch. And the three that I heard were when Gene refers to himself as Sasquatch Kid, Burgerfoot, and then later on Bob calls him Beef Crotch. So there's a lot of little just names in there that I'm just like, Beefsquatch truly was the most creative. Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Obviously, Bob's line to the audience, "Are you not entertained?" is from Gladiator. That one was also a given. The guitarist from John Van Horton and the Music Extrusion can be seen at Chuck's pool party.
Okay.
I think, was that the guys from Lobsterfest?
I think so.
I think that's who they were. This is the first episode that you get to see inside of Teddy's apartment and Mr. Fischoeder's mansion.
Yeah, that was a little too much of Teddy. I didn't need to see him without a shirt on.
Oh, you'll get more of him. Don't worry.
Oh, lovely.
You'll have a lot of Teddy.
Yay?
But you eventually get to see the inside of Mr. Fischoeder's home.
Okay, that I'm looking forward to.
That is a lot of fun. The news report on the cancellation of Get On Up is being broadcast on Channel 6, the station that employs Olsen Benner as a reporter. So they have like that whole dynamic. And the last one, I'm still surprised I decided to write this down. There's a pair of handcuffs that are attached to Gretchen's bed frame.
Oh, okay.
Referring to her like of authority figures.
Oh, okay.
And the first line that I just, the first note I have for the show was quite literally in all caps, Gene did not move the dishes.
I wrote down, just move the dishes. That is not sanitary.
Nope, but he didn't move the dishes.
No, he didn't.
And then the line, I smell fear on you, is now a huge Bob's Burgers thing. That was like the first meme, I think, when it really came to Bob's Burgers, apart from the I'm going to go and complain all the time. That one and I smell fear on you. Like, you can see that I've seen memes of this. People put it on things. Like, that is one of the most iconic lines of Bob's Burgers is the I smell fear on you. And I just, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, tell me what you thought.
I like this one. I mean, I this one, you were not incorrect in saying that this season was like had no bad episodes.
Now, not all great, but not all bad.
Not all great, not all bad. Yeah, there isn't one. I don't think anything got below a 20. I don't think. I can double check, but the first note I wrote down just in all caps was a pediatrician that hates kids. I was just like listening to the stuff that they were saying. And I'm like,
it was wonderful.
It was good. So eventually, once they got onto the show, I was like, oh yeah, Beefsquatch is like the where's the beef lady.
Yes.
That's the vibe it was giving me. So I love how they still managed to include Mort and Teddy to this without the restaurant, although I could have done without seeing Teddy in his underwear.
Or, Mort embalming somebody while watching his morning news.
Honestly, I don't even know if I clocked that. I might have just been like already like shielding my eyes because of Teddy.
He was actually like had a body on the table and everything.
Okay then. I kind of want to go back and watch it just so I can catch that.
Just so you can catch that, yeah.
Yeah. So the kid that was in the audience, I just wrote down, who is this kid? If he's freaking out Tina, that's saying something.
Nathan.
Nathan. And then later on, I wrote down, he's the male Tina. Could be worse, Tina. It could be worse, but Tina, you deserve better than that.
You do. That was
She
and
does.
like the obsession of eating Pam's hair.
Yeah.
Because of course you're sitting there wondering why is this kid here, but then he even says like, "Oh, my mom lets me be here if I do well."
But that doesn't
or something, and I'm just like,
it doesn't necessarily make sense because this is a daytime local TV show, so like, if it doesn't interfere with schoolwork, but it's almost always filming while school is in session.
Yeah, I don't understand what's happening here. Maybe maybe it's just so early in the morning.
Maybe, or he's homeschooled, maybe?
Because everybody's drinking their coffee. No one's out of the house yet.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just so early in the morning that it doesn't get in the way of schoolwork.
I guess, yeah, if you consider it to be more, I guess, aligned with the first hour, like the first hour or 2 hours of the Today Show, even though it's more aligned with the content you see in the later 2 hours.
Yeah. It's a cartoon.
This is true. We don't need to pick apart so many things of why is this child in the daytime television show taping.
Because it makes sense why the other kids are. They're, their family.
They're with
but
their parents.
This random kid that's there every day is just kind of like,
yep.
Are you okay?
No, he's not. So the pool party. I just that whole scene. I just I wrote down. First I wrote, I really hope I act better than Linda when I've met celebrities.
I mean, she did hold Pam's hair while she puked.
She did. Then I wrote down, you and Linda swing with question mark and exclamation point. Local celebrities as swingers. How did I not see this coming?
Right.
Like, I really should have seen that coming.
The entire conversation with someone off camera, they weren't even drawn, of being like, what you think? And Bob's just standing there like, I didn't say yes to this. What's happening?
Like the guy's like, be open-minded. It's like, that's not how that works. This is not how you bring people in. No.
And the other guy was not as open-minded.
No, he wasn't. So as the episode went on, I wrote a couple more notes. So I also just wrote on Nathan, you creep, because that's just what was happening. But
oh yeah,
the shenanigans, shall we say, of Louise being the double agent with everything. The main one that I wrote down was just, oh dear, no, habanero peppers is going to burn that kid's face off.
Oh, habaneros, like what? They could have even just done a jalapeno and it probably would have burned his mouth, but
honestly, yeah.
Habaneros. After I just had my jalapeno fiasco.
Exactly. It was like, don't, that like might actually do some damage at his age. But
the human hair I think was worse though.
I mean, yeah, no one wants to ingest that. My last funny note, because I have other commentary, but my last funny note was Louise screaming like filthy when she when it was out that she was double agenting, was giving me out damn spot vibes from Macbeth.
No, that's pretty accurate. I really loved Louise's part in everything because she just very happily was like, yeah, I'll help both of you torture each other. I mean, it's very on point for Louise, and it doesn't even look like she really got in trouble for it because they're just like, no, this is something Louise would do. This makes sense. Why are we going to punish her for being herself?
Exactly.
And the super glue, I think, was very on point.
Oh, yeah.
That was amazing because then I think the other thing was like, oh, wait, what else did she do? The burgers are all in my head of putting like the human hair and the habaneros and all that. I'm like,
they unscrewed the counter, which I also wrote down. I'm like, I think it's going to take more than a few screws to take down the entire counter, but okay.
Well, it's also a set.
True, but you still have like the electrical elements that are going to probably keep it up.
True. Yeah, that's true.
The stove isn't going to fall down. I don't know what else was I don't remember what else was in the burgers.
I don't remember.
Oh, cat litter was one of them.
That was one of them. Thank you. I was like, I just watched it. How am I not remembering this? Oh, Gene the Buddhist. That was another one of my lines. Gene the Buddhist.
Yeah.
So what did you rate this one?
So I gave this one a 9 for plot. It's good chaos.
Yay!
I gave it an 8 for character. Because again, I think it was the father-son basically smackdown at the end where I'm like, I don't know if I can get a conscious give this one 9s across the board. And I gave it a 9 for personal. So this one got a 26 out of 30.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
This one's a 30 for me. This is actually my favorite episode
Okay.
in season
Oh.
2. The Beef Squatch
Okay.
Beef Squatch comes back.
Oh, does he?
Yes. So I think it's like how we talk about all the time how I have far more of a future in my mind.
Yeah.
For these characters and for this storyline. So for me, it's just like, I love it. This is the epitome of a Bob's Burgers chaotic episode. This is perfect. It is everything I want in my Bob's episodes, where the family is kind of at it with each other, but then also there for each other.
Yeah.
And just torturing everybody around them.
Yeah. It's funny that we got...
Because technically they are.
Yeah. It's funny that we got 2 30s for you in the same recording week.
I don't know what's happening. Maybe I'm just overly emotional today.
Possibly. I don't know, because for anyone that doesn't listen to the Once Upon a Time episodes, we record on the same nights, both Bob's and Once, and we recorded the episode 23, on 112 Skin Deep, which is about Katie's favorite fairy tale. So she was primed to give that one a perfect score.
And I have to admit that Beefsquatch has always been one of my favorite Bob's episodes, even before ever doing this.
Yeah.
That's one of the few that my kids love watching too, because it's Beefsquatch. Like,
it's chaos.
The character itself, just seeing Gene put on this Sasquatch mask and a burger suit makes the kids love it. They think it's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
So not too bad. I think I love how high your score is, honestly. That is amazing. It makes me very happy.
I'm glad. I think this is definitely the highest for this season. Yeah, the second highest. So what's funny is this is the highest score at 26. The first episode of this season is only one below it at 25.
So what is your average for season 2? It's only 9 episodes, so it's not a hard number to figure out. Because I said there were no bad episodes, and I think I have proven myself right.
You are correct. While this episode is the highest of this, it's the highest score for this season. It's actually not the highest score I've given anything thus far. Torpedo has the highest score at 28.
That was a good episode.
That was a good episode. So this one, because Notion does the math for us, my total averages for this season are 23.5.
That's really not bad. It's above 20.
No, it's good. Yeah.
We haven't really given on, I think, either ends anything below a 20 yet.
I don't think so.
And which is good because we're enjoying what we're watching and we don't want to have to watch something we don't enjoy.
No, exactly. And we're at the beginning of both of these shows. So like if we had low scores at the beginning, that would not bode well. I can think off the top of my head where I know for a fact a Once episode is going to get below a 20.
Same. I have a Bob's episode I know for a fact is going to get below 20 for both of us.
I don't know if there's one. Oh, no, there is one in season 2. I thought the first one was going to be in season 3, but there is one in season 2 that I know for a fact is getting below a 20 because it has some things that just bother me.
I can't remember the names like you can, but I have far more episodes to keep track of, but it is much, much later. Like, it's going to be years until you get to it, and if I remember correctly, I think it's a Halloween episode, which is not normal for me to rate or not like a Halloween episode because yep, it is the Halloween episode in season 10.
Okay, so we got a while for it.
You're not even gonna remember this conversation probably.
No. Something that I realized the other day, weirdly enough, is just the way things work out. I tend to love the 18th episode of most Once Upon a Time seasons except for season 2. I don't. It's something about whatever they put at that point in the season that they decided that this episode is the crux of like when we're going to shift from this to that. It's usually a really, really good episode, except for season 2. And I'm realizing it because honestly, even if we used both numbering conventions for season 4, either way, it would work just fine. In my mind, it's one episode, but for most people that use streaming services, it's a different episode, and those people are wrong. Yeah. I don't care. We'll decide how we want to handle season 4 when we get there.
We'll say I will view it how you tell me to view it.
so then we're gonna have a podcast episode that's gonna be watching 2 episodes at once, technically, because it was one 2-hour long episode as it aired.
Okay.
And then for some reason on all streaming services, it got split into episodes 408 and 409, being Smash the Mirror Part 1 and Smash the Mirror Part 2. I get that it keeps everything even. However, by turning what was one episode into 2, means that what was the 100th episode is no longer the 100th episode, so it makes no sense.
Okay.
Like, the thing that was this, like, the special episode is now just episode 101, like, according to their numbering. And I'm like,
That's kind of annoying. I wouldn't like that.
we're not doing that. We're not doing that. No, I'm saying, so just when we get to that point in season 4, just be prepared for whoever's listening to our podcast years in the future. Why we have a 2-hour-long episode? It's because Lauren made us watch 2 episodes at once.
That's okay. It'll be a special.
It'll be a special, exactly.
It'll be special. I had Lauren do more required viewing.
I love the required viewings.
The required viewing is so much fun. There will be more required viewing in the future because of all the lovely real life references. Like, I really can't wait for one episode I have in mind that I know you've most likely seen the footage for it already, but I'm not telling you what it is. That I'm going to make you watch again because it's so funny. And it's still, it's going to be a high rated episode, I'm sure. But I had Lauren watch the Bob's Burgers improv where they all got together for an interview and they all improvised talking about the birds and the bees together as their characters. So you have all the actors sitting together, which is very interesting as well because everybody, but I would say, oh my God, I know his name. Brain fart. That is a brain fart. I know this man's name.
I don't know any of the actors' names here, so I cannot help you.
I'm so sorry.
I know Kristen Shaw. That's not who you're asking about.
That is not who I'm talking about, but I'm very, very angry at myself. John Roberts. My God.
Oh, okay.
The only one that doesn't tend to look like their character is John Roberts.
Yeah.
Because John Roberts plays Linda.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, H. John Benjamin looks like Bob. Christian Skull very much reminds me of Louise.
Yeah.
We got Dan Mintz, who just looks like a male version of Tina.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then, of course, Eugene looks like Gene.
Yeah.
Like, I think Teddy slightly looks like himself.
Yeah, a little bit.
The guy that plays Teddy. But he kind of just comes in there at the end, so it really is mainly the family.
Yeah. I loved at the very beginning, I wrote down a couple of notes for this. I love that whatever they were doing before they cut into this section of it, that Kristen Shaw was just already laughing at the beginning. Like, her hand is already, like, her head is already in her hand, and they've just started.
She's like, let me prepare for whatever is about to be said.
Like, she was just already done.
And, like, Dan doesn't really talk for a little while. It very much is just Eugene talking. And then out of nowhere, it's just Dan being Tina, being like, oh, I already explained this to them.
Yeah.
And I love John Roberts more than anybody, though, because every time I see him doing Linda, because there's so much footage out there of them being their characters, it's...
Yeah.
He's emanating his mom. He uses his mother as inspiration. So I'm just like, dude, you have the most amazing mom. I'd like to just hug her.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, imagine Linda being your mother.
Oh, yeah. I wrote down, like, I know conceptually, like, I understand the concept that Linda and Tina are voiced by men, but it was, I mean, and I do agree that Dan Mintz does pretty much look like a male version of Tina. It was still weird to hear those voices come out of their mouths.
It's very weird. Because Christian Skull has a very distinct voice.
She does. And, like, she tends to play a lot of the same kind of characters. I think her voice lends themselves to that. Like, her character from 30 Rock, I think, is just an adult version of Louise.
Oh, pretty much. And then you have, like, just all the other voice acting she does in different cartoons that you could, I could be watching any of my kids, like, cartoons and hear that voice and know exactly it's her.
Yeah. Because she doesn't do anything with it. There are some voice actors that, like, they do change their voice, but even still you can always tell that it's them. Like, Grey Delisle, she doesn't do a whole lot to her voice, but she does enough that her characters sound different.
Yeah.
Because she, for those who don't know, she is the voice of Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender. She's Vicky from The Fairly Odd Parents. I think she's Daphne in one of the versions of Scooby-Doo. But, like, her character, she doesn't do a whole lot to her voice.
Yeah.
She does enough that you get a sense of character, but, like, you hear it and you know that it's her.
It's not like H. John Benjamin that voices over, like, 30 people in Bob's Burgers because, if I remember correctly, like, he voices Jimmy Jr.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he voices, let's see if I can tell you all the characters. Not all.
Well, that's like the marker. That's like the marker of good voice acting is, like, you know, like, 'cause they'd rather, why hire 30 people when they can hire one guy to do it?
Oh
Which
yeah.
is why like a lot of voice actors always say like, the best thing you can do for yourself is be versatile. Because The Simpsons is like the same 5 people.
Let's see. So it's on the Bob's Burgers wiki. I went ahead and brought it up. These are
Mm-hmm.
characters voiced by H. John Benjamin. I'm not going to name all of them because there are so many, but obviously he's Bob. You will eventually
Mm-hmm.
meet Coochie Kopi. We've had an episode
Okay.
already where Coochie Kopi talks. It's not the last time he
Yeah.
talks. So that was
Okay.
a lovely situation of like kind of like Seth MacFarlane where he's just, if he's enough characters in the room, he's talking to himself.
Oh yeah.
Jimmy Pesto Jr.
Okay.
I have to stick to characters you've met. Speedo
Okay.
Guy.
Oh, right then.
He is Speedo Guy. Oh, wow. There's so many characters you haven't met yet that I can't say yet. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Hold on. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
A
lot.
Those are
The
the only
answer's a
ones I
lot.
can tell you. But that's
That's
the
fine.
only ones. The rest you haven't met yet.
Oh, that's okay. I like these cases where like the show is pretty much like the same 5 people, because like The Simpsons, like they do that also, like most of their cast is like their main cast, or like almost all of their characters, and to hear them like do all their different voices, like the woman that voices Bart does a lot of like the kids, so like people ask her to do her characters, and she's Bart, and so like she'll do like I'm Bart Simpson, who the hell are you? Like I can't do the voice.
I love seeing
as
when she pops up doing stuff like that.
She's so good, but like she always picks the best lines because she plays Ralph Wiggum, and like I just love whenever coming out of her, but hearing like, "Hi Lisa, hi Super Nintendo Chalmers, I'm learning." Like she picks the best lines, but also that line is from like 25 years ago.
She's good at what she does.
She's very good at what she does.
So now that you've seen, I know it's like technically the first 2 seasons of Bob's Burgers, but the way things are numbered, it really is just a full season when you put it all together.
Yeah, when you do the math, it is 22 episodes.
It's 22 episodes. Now that you've gotten this far into it, what do you think of Bob's Burgers?
I like Bob's Burgers. Like it's a different like than Once Upon a Time, because that one's obviously more like I'm like really focused on the characters. This one is just such a breath of fresh air for my brain, because I feel like right now there's such like I don't know the right way to phrase this. There's such pressure to watch things that are like critically acclaimed, very plot heavy, like have like all this like deep emotional stuff. Even if it is a fun TV show, it's like almost like there's such pressure to be watching things that like for lack of better phrasing, for stuff that has substance to it. That we don't kind of allow ourselves time to just watch a show that is just fun and chaos, and you get to turn your brain off for 20 minutes and just watch something really weird and wacky. And I like that I've had that in my week, is I've had built-in time where I have to just not think too hard. Most of my notes are kind of like, what the hell am I watching? But I think I can see why it's got such a devoted fan base, because it is such a feel-good show, which I don't think we get a whole lot of.
We don't, because it's back on right now. We didn't watch it tonight because baseball.
Yeah.
So I'll be watching that tomorrow. So I have not watched the next episode. I think it's another Gene one though, so I'm okay. Because they do cycle through something that's more heavily on each character, because you really want to get to know your characters more and dig deeper into who they are. And there is character development, even though it's kind of like your Simpsons situation of no one really ages. It's just, but you have the whole thing. It's like what the animation domination. Every fall it starts back up, and it's your 3 shows. It's now Family Guy, Simpsons, and Bob's Burgers. We still watch Family Guy just because my husband's been watching Family Guy most his life.
That's fair.
And I've caught up now because I am younger. And so for him, it's just like, it's been going for so long. We still watch it and we enjoy it. But even like the most recent episode got really heavy, like of Family Guy got really heavy into like different discussions. I enjoyed it because it got into the discussion of like true crime and true crime podcasters and the shows. And how I really loved it. But it was another situation of like shows like The Simpsons and Family Guy get really kind of deep into some things that are political, that are still more dramatized, things that really make you think. Like it's not something that you can always just watch to kind of go brain dead, for lack of better term.
Yeah.
But you can turn on Bob's Burgers and just turn your brain off and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really get too deep.
Mm-hmm.
But then it has all these really wonderful, wholesome family moments. So you're like, oh, wait, this actually does still make me feel good, but it's really wholesome and it's low stakes.
I think I have a great way of equating this to the way that I kind of think about television and also with reading. Because it's in that space of it's not a whole lot of thought, but it's more substance than, say, like The Bachelor, which is what I call cotton candy television.
Mm-hmm.
There is no substance. It's just something quick and sweet and what have you, and then you've got your stuff that's more plot heavy, those kinds of things. So I would almost equate that to like The Bachelor is the same level of like emotional commitment that I need to read like a 90-page smut novella. There's not a whole lot of thought there.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I'm not thinking too hard. It's probably chaotic, and that's kind of it. Bob's I would put into where I would I put that in the same level of like most of my main rom-coms. I'm here to enjoy myself. I'm not here to think a whole lot, but I am enjoying what substance it's giving me because there is more to it than the 90-page novella.
Yes.
And then I would put
that's like my cozy fantasies I like to read.
Yeah. And then I would put like I don't want to say more substantial, but stuff that's more plot heavy or more that makes you think or more that like kind of makes you like really dig deep into it. I put that into for me at least. I'd put that into either stuff that makes me think more. So that would be for me. That'd be fantasy, or for like more like drama heavy contemporary, or thrillers, stuff like that. Something that I need to really focus on. My brain can't necessarily turn off. Kind of like with Plain Bad Heroines right now that I'm reading, which is like sapphic gothic horror. That is not anything that I would normally read, but it is scratching an itch in my brain because right now that's what I want to read.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've been like, I love cozy fantasy. I love cozy books. I did a cozy mystery recently, but it's like a fantasy as well. Those books are what I would really relate to with Bob's for me, because I'm not going into like a cozy book thinking, oh, I've got to like, it's low stakes. It's not going to make me feel like, oh my God, what's about to happen? Yeah. It's not this big, huge climax that a lot of fantasy books have, because I am mainly a fantasy reader. And I feel like that's where I am with Once Upon a Time. Is Once Upon a Time is my fantasy books where I'm like, I am really in this. I'm loving it. I can't wait to see the climax and what's going to happen and the character development, all the things that you can have in fantasy, because you've got your romance in fantasy too. So I get like a sprinkle of everything. And I really love that about Once Upon a Time. Yeah. But with Bob's, I get to just sit back and go, okay, I'm cozy. Here's my tea. Here's my blanket. I'm going to like just enjoy myself. And I feel like we need to have both types of media. Yeah. And we don't have it as much.
No, I'm with you. I feel like, cause like I said, I feel like there's such a pressure on people or society or whatever for whatever it is that you're reading to be the thing that makes you think, or the thing that really like has a social commentary on something. But that doesn't have to be everything you're consuming all the time. Sometimes what you're consuming can just be because it makes you feel good.
I think that's why, like, for a lot of us, we tend to turn to kids' cartoons too. Yeah. Because, like, my daughter really loves Owl House. Yeah. And she's always trying to get me to watch it. That's her cozy show. That's what she turns on. And even if it has, like, a lot of drama in it, magic, all that, I know, I love it. Yeah. It's still something you can kind of sit back and just enjoy. You don't have to worry too much about it. Yeah. But then, like, Ted Lasso is another one of my favorite shows. Yep. And while that show makes me feel seen and wonderful, and it is extremely wholesome, it is not an easy show because it's a lot of emotion. It talks a lot on mental illness. It's actually really serious. It's drama. So it's I kind of wish we had more family media like Bob's Burgers that exists. Yeah. Because I feel like Bob is very unique in that way, that we have this show it's good for families now. It wasn't when it started. It's good for families now. It's an insight to how different families function as well. And it's just cozy. It's cozy, and I need other shows to understand it. And I know we have shows like by the same people, like Central Park, and I think the other one is it's got one of my favorite people in it. I know it. I don't know. Oh my God. It's got Nick Offerman is one of the people in it.
Oh, I think I know. I've seen commercials for it, but I couldn't tell you what it's called.
I'm not going to remember it, but I know that the people who created Bob's Burgers also created Central Park, and that one's pretty. It's very much. It's the same art style. It's the same. It's along the lines pretty similar. I think Josh Gad's in that one,
Yeah.
actually. And that one's on Apple.
Hmm.
So if you're ever wanting something similar-ish to Bob's,
Okay.
Central Park.
Well, Once Upon a Time was a leader in family viewing shows when it first aired.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a fairy tale show, so you got the kids, it's got a little more drama into it, which is what brings in the parents. And it's an ABC, network 8 o'clock show. Like, they're not doing anything terribly dark. Like, people like always kind of said they hope that Once Upon a Time would get grittier, and I'm like, but that's not the style that they're going for. Like, yes, this is it's on the darker side and it does make you think. And like, to be fair though, like
Mm-hmm.
at this point where I'm at, like I would equate Once Upon a Time with like the most well-loved book you have on your shelf, that like, the spine's all cracked, all the pages are like
Yes.
cornered. Like, if I had one like that, I would show you. I don't do that to my books. I should. I don't. But like, that's what I equated to, is like, it's probably it's a book that does make you think, that like you said, kind of like fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
where you have to really like you feel like you want to dig deep into it and kind of get immersed in it. But I've read it so many times that like I could quote it, word for word, and I do.
And you do.
And I do, but like, no, all like the all the pages are dog-eared, and the notes and all of everything else. Like, that's what I would equate that show to for me, is like, it's a cozy book now. It may not have started that way, but it is now.
And I love when media does that, where it is something that in the beginning you're like just really into it, and then it turns
Mm-hmm.
into something that is cozy.
I highlighted a portion. I don't often write in my books, but in the book that I read last night, that I'm now mentioning in both episodes, I realized the book is called Now Is Not the Time to Panic by Kevin Wilson, narrated by Jennifer Goodwin, which is why I read it. But I need to find this
Of
passage because it
course.
works so well for this.
Oh, perfect.
I don't often feel compelled to highlight things, but this was, I'm like, I need to highlight this. I really
I
wish
love
I
that
put
you're
a
telling
tab.
me this though, because it was recently shared by like my favorite author and another Instagram account. Some of my Aragon books that I've annotated, and I have now had so many people message me asking me about my annotations in Aragon that I'm just
I love
like,
that.
I write in some of my books, but I've had so many messages, and I'm like, I am more than happy to talk about this.
I gotta put a tab on this because I don't know where it is.
Oh no.
I know it's at the bottom of a page. And luckily this book is not very big. It's only 240 pages, so like flipping through it a little bit slowly. Here it is. I found it. I need to just put a tab on it because it's just like one line at the bottom of a page. But the premise of the book has to do with art and creation and ownership, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the vague gist of the book. But every single thing that you loved became a source of both intense obsession and possible shame.
Oh my goodness.
And I feel like that fits us, but also kind of fandom culture, in the way that society almost kind of tries to make us feel ashamed for being obsessed about certain pieces of media and the way that they are, because it's expected that, like, we like other things, whatever, but like, it's that feeling of like, you get obsessed with it, but it's the guilty pleasure aspect of things, that
Yeah.
things aren't guilty pleasures. We shouldn't feel guilty for enjoying things.
Pleasure should not imbue guilt.
It should not. But I thought that was very apropos for our podcast.
That very, very much. Thank you for that. I now need to read it.
I loved this book. And not just because, but like, I fully admit that I picked it up because it was narrated by Jennifer Goodwin. It would never have been on my radar had it not, because I've never heard of this author before. He mostly writes kind of I guess contemporary Southern. The book is set in Tennessee, because he's from Tennessee, and so is Jennifer Goodwin. She's from Memphis. Just nothing about what he writes generally, and even the description of this book didn't necessarily, speak to me. But
See, then you got me that's like, ooh, something Southern.
but Jennifer Goodwin is one of the people that she could read from. This was the epitome of, dear listener, this is a 240-page audiobook. It was 240-page book, 6-hour audiobook that I read at 2 times speed, so it took me about 3 hours to read this. The epitome of, that woman could read from the phone book, and I would just sit there and listen because her voice just does something in my brain.
I remember when you originally told me that, and I was like, that is me and Will Wheaton. There is something about Will Wheaton's voice. I don't know what it is. I have like listened to sci-fi books I had very little interest in, simply because I knew Will Wheaton was narrating it.
I don't think she's narrated anything else. I need to look into that because she did a phenomenal job.
I'm not surprised.
A+. Would recommend. I mean, she's a great voice
Of
actor, so we
course.
know this already. But not every voice actor can do audiobook narration.
That is true.
It's its own subset, but she does a phenomenal job. She's a good storyteller.
So I'm really excited for us to get into season 3, and I hope you really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
The next 2 episodes, the first one you'll be watching is one of my favorites of all time.
No pressure.
No pressure. But I think you're really going to love it, in all honesty.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to double check so I don't misspeak, but you will be getting, in perfect time for us, even though this won't be out at the right time for us, It is perfect timing that you will be getting your first ever Bob's Burgers Halloween episode.
Ooh, nice.
Full bars.
Yeah.
I wonder what that's about.
Who could know? Not me.
No, never.
No. Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Once Upon a Time, episode 113, What Happened to Frederick. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. And follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Katie and Lauren and edited by Katie.